Alright everyone, we start off today talking about another police-involved shooting, of course, Makiyah Bryant in Columbus, Ohio. So, naturally, more protests, mostly peaceful, you know. How many Wendy's burned down that night? Was it 2, 3, maybe 15? The world may never know. I'm wondering how they even have a franchise at this point, considering how they're maltreated so much. Anyway, the nuance of this particular incident has already been lost. Like within 24 hours at this point of a shooting, if the person happens to be anything other than a white straight male, it's automatic at this point, and that's why you're never going to get any meaningful police reform. This is why the left will fail, which I think is a good thing, but you know, you sort of shoot yourself in the foot with your reaction. Anyway, first and foremost, link 4 links in a pinned comment if you're watching this video on YouTube down below. Keep in mind, I make 2 videos every day just on other websites, just to try to incentivize people to use new tech because it's actually innovative. Here we go. With this particular case, it appears that Makiyah Bryant, a 16-year-old black girl, was in an altercation. She called police and ended up getting shot by police. That's because she lunged at another girl with a knife, and initially, of course, the MSM in its initial reporting just says, well, a 16-year-old black girl was shot by the cops. No mention of a weapon, no mention that she was possibly attempting to murder someone at the time, and so, of course, people immediately began to riot. This is on the day of the verdict of Derek Chauvin, and it's just terrible. We're never going to have justice. It's like my ancestors are still rattling their chains in my ear every fucking day. But she had a knife and was lunging for another person when she was shot. Now, here's where the nuance lies, and you're not going to get this nuance in most analysis, including at this point a lot of independent content. While you're not allowed to lunge at someone with a knife, the officer, technically speaking, acted appropriately. He didn't have time to shoot for the leg or something like that. You've got an attack with a deadly weapon right in front of you 10 feet away. You're telling these people to break it up. And you don't know, by the way, the cop who called the police. That wouldn't even necessarily be an exoneration of the woman's behavior. Just because you called the cops says, hey, you know, there's a violent scene taking place, that doesn't mean you can whip out a knife and attempt to shank someone. However, she, situationally, and we're not sure the context before the body cam footage, if she was under attack, and it appears that there were multiple assailants, this is one of those sort of ghetto fights that you get that used to be all over YouTube, now they're banned. It was really funny to watch people grab each other's hair and swing them around and shit. I saw one clip once where a woman took her dog on a leash and whirled it around like a ball and chain and smacked some woman in the head with it. The animal abuse, but it was mildly amusing. The dog was fine, thankfully, I think. But you do have the right to use a weapon to defend yourself. Now, I don't know about Ohio's specific laws regarding self-defense. My belief, I believe it's not a duty to retreat state. It doesn't appear that the person wielding the knife, Makiyah Brown, was being cornered, but she was in a fight. Now, if you whip out a knife when someone is clearly, they're not trying to kill you or something like that, that can be a problem. So, but all of these things, it's just sort of lost in a haze of race baiting at some point, because all you get is, well, the killer was a cop, the victim, or the person shot, was black, ergo, it's about race. Automatically about race. Well, no, it's about you had a domestic dispute or a street fight going on, rather, and somebody with a knife was going for another person, trying to slice him up, trying to stab him. The officer probably, I would assume, would not get in any trouble for his particular actions here. That being said, again, you also have that Second Amendment aspect, the right to self-defense, which is not entirely clear. And you're not going to get, by the way, enough backstory. Just like the initial reporting was just, well, a black girl got shot by the cops. Oh my god, she's just a baby, she's a teenager and shit. Yes, but she had a knife. But we didn't know that at the time. That's why it's good to back off reporting on these things sometimes until days after, because the MSM is so fucking reluctant to actually explain the full context of the story. Remember with George Floyd? My initial hot take based just on a few minutes of arrest footage there was, hey, this looks like murder. Of course, then we found out later, due to leaked footage days after, that wasn't even supposed to be made at that time public. I guess it would have tainted a jury pool into believing that Derek Chauvin wasn't a cold-blooded racist bastard. That would have been a problem now, wouldn't it? It wasn't even supposed to be out there showing the full arrest, and we found out, oh, well, George Floyd was messed up on drugs. He was already dying before he was arrested. By the way, I'll have a separate video, a new tech exclusive today, talking about the chuckling of yesterday's videos, because they were actually, the Chauvin video was going kind of viral, and then YouTube age restricted it to keep it from growing further. I gained like 100 subscribers over the couple of hours, and then you could literally see the moment at which it completely levels off, and it was hysterical to me. It's very, very transparent what they're doing. Oh yeah, this case is a little bit more nuanced. Like, a lot of people, and this is oddly enough kind of bigoted when you think about it, especially leftists doing this. They're like, well, all police shootings, or shootings in general, of black people are identical. Well, they're not. So they'll have Trayvon Martin and Makiyah Bryant, Breonna Taylor and Eric Garner are the same person. It's Jacob Blake and George Floyd are identical characters. They sort of just lump them all in together as one homogenized statistic, but the situations are totally different. That's the nuance that's lost in pretty much all of the analysis I see about this. And this includes even competent content creators that aren't corrupted under corporate contracts. Even they're starting to get so jaded with this bullshit propaganda we're being fed that they're not even bothering to go into the nuance. Jacob Blake, for instance, went for a knife to try to attack arresting officers, and he got shot. That's a little bit different from George Floyd dying of a heroin overdose, fentanyl overdose. You know, basically his heart stopping. He's probably going 5,000 beats a minute at the time. A little bit different. George Floyd didn't attack anyone, at least, and then died. The officer didn't shoot him, or in my opinion, kill him, although he got convicted of that, and it'll be appealed endlessly. Breonna Taylor, behind a wall when her boyfriend opens fire on the cops, thinking, I guess it's an ex or something like that. That's a little bit different, maybe a negligence situation, certainly an accident, as opposed to this, which is the officer made a split-second decision to kill the individual because she had a deadly weapon and he didn't know who had called the police and who's the victim. Let's say that Makiyah Bryant, let's say that she had been the girl that was being attacked with the knife and hadn't been the girl with the knife, and the officer acted the same way. Well, of course, he'd be saving her life after she called police. And what if the officer didn't show up or didn't react? I guess somebody would have at least gotten stabbed or sliced up a bit, attacked with a deadly weapon. But now, of course, you're going to have riots, and everyone will ignore all of these nuances, and then they'll go about their business. And the left will do what it does. It'll burn Wendy's down. It'll demand reform. But it'll boil it down to the most Neanderthal-style, third-grade-style analysis where blue life bad, black person automatically innocent. And then other people will take up a rather defensive line and say, well, your ideas are crazy horseshit. The cops are good. They're trying to stop crime. Shut the fuck up, hippie. And then people bicker on Twitter and nothing will change. Nothing will be accomplished. By the way, if we just had stronger self-defense laws like nationwide stand-your-ground castle doctrine and subsidized weapons because it's an actual human right unlike healthcare, why don't we just do that and then eliminate most of the policing? Hell, you could eliminate most of the laws. Fuck them. And the USPS has been spying on your social media posts. Did you know that? Yet another video for today, which is going to be goddamn hilarious. Everything's dysfunctional right now, and it's starting to piss people off. The problem is you can have a death spiral where people get hot under the collar because of shit like this. Killings or MSM propaganda about killings. Then violent things happen, and then the whole cycle just rinses and repeats endlessly over and over again. It's a cycle of stupidity is what it is, a bunch of bullshit. That's about all. Peace out.